And there they go.
Mike, I think it's a great transition right into the first race because we have, not only do we have a Jack Steiner horse, we also have a Blaine Wright horse that we're going to talk about. And this, to kick off your late pick 4, Matt, I don't know who was in charge of setting this up, but race 9 being the Grade 3 San Francisco Mile, this is like Led Zeppelin coming on stage and boom, starting with Stairway to Heaven. They're like, hey, here's the best thing we've got that you're going to absolutely love and you're going to go crazy about. Stairway to Heaven, you go crazy in a good way. This one, 14 horses, 8 from Southern California. Mike and I were talking, this is insane. This is going to be a fun race, but from a handicapping perspective, I'm kind of going crazy. So as the local expert, who is the best local horse in the San Francisco Mile?
The best local horse going right now is Tom's Surprise, in my opinion, for Jack Steiner, coincidentally. he is a very sneaky good horse. He has a really big burst of speed. He's got a really nice turn of foot. He's by Tom's Tribute, so not a surprise. He liked the turf last time. He's done a lot of his better runs on the synthetic. When he gets a pace, he comes with a big run. And there have been a couple races as of late where this horse has opened up on the competition against easier, and you can just see the burst of speed. You can see the strides change, and he's really got a nice kick, and I think it's going to set up well for him. He'll need to run the best race of his life to win, but he is a horse that's going under the radar, and for me, as a local horse, I will be using him on tickets. I think you have to. He's a very good horse, and he's better than maybe the page indicates, and he's going in the right direction.
Yeah, I did use him, and at 12-1, it's a great price. I was a little surprised when I saw that, but you're right, Matt. From a buyer perspective, especially, he needs to continue improving. But since Steiner claimed him in route races, he's 4 for 6. That one bad effort he had was when he was trying to turf sprint. So the fact that he's 4 for 6 off the routes and steadily strong buyers for this field, for what this group could be. So I like him here. But Mike, I know you didn't use him. Do you want to tell us why?
Yeah, he was actually my 5th horse in the race. I ended up going 3 deep here. For me, it was the post. It seems like to ask for the best effort of his horse's career while breaking from the 12 post and taking that step up in class to me was just a little bit too much to ask. I love the price. I think that you definitely see the horse running the best of his career, but this is significantly better. I mean, we're running 62 N2X, and we're jumping up here into a Grade 3. You've got multiple horses shipping in here from Southern California. You got a couple horses coming off layoffs that I think are interesting. It's just, to me, the waters are really deep here. And if he drew the 2, I'd be a lot more interested, because then I know we're going to save ground around that first turn, and we're going to be able to set up that big run. If we get the right split around the second turn, we can come chugging. From the 12, it's going to be tough to be able to save any ground on either turn. And so to be able to ask him to do that and then be able to get up, I think maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah, slightly worried about him getting shuffled back farther than he could stand to have happen. But I like the progression. Mike, who is your top pick in this race?
So I went with the 4 Vanzi, 4-1 on the morning line. This horse is just there is speed in here, but the speed isn't wonderful. I think Vanzi is the best of the tactical speed. I think you're going to see him sit right behind the leaders here, probably sit on the rail or maybe in the 2-path in that second group, get first run on horses like Tiz Plus, so I think you're going to struggle a little bit being able to get the distance and the time here. Vanzi ran a 1:33 mile last time. That is tough against this field if we can replicate that time again. I like the fact that we're forwardly placed in this big field. I like the post. If you look at kind of everyone who was around him, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 5, they're all bigger prices. So you have him who's going to be one of the better horses, breaking from the inside, has races to point to. And then I'm a sucker. Second off the layoff here, at second out as a 5-year-old. This is a logical improvement spot. That first effort was awesome. The race 2 back, I can draw a line through because we went 6 furlongs. And I also like the fact that Baltus is now training this horse. He's one of the better turf trainers in Southern California. When he sends horses up to Northern California, they're usually very live. I don't think we're getting 4-1 on race day. I think this is going to be your favorite. I think you're probably sitting somewhere around 5-2 or 3-1, but I'm going 3 deep here. I think he's one of the ones you kind of have to include.
Yeah, I used him, and Matt, you're nodding your head too. I especially love Joe Bravo coming up to ride him. I thought he fits him perfectly.
And the thing is, Richard Baltus has actually won this race the last 2 years. He won with Neptune Storm in 2020, and last year he won with Whisper Not. So you've got a good trainer there. I would agree, he's probably the one to beat, but you see numbers 13 and 14, or you can't see them, but we do have numbers 13 and 14 in this race. So there's going to be some speed in this race for Vanzi to sort of track, because right there, Get Her Number, I think he's going to be up there, and Jimmy Blue Jeans, the local horse, is going to be up there, and I think the pace will be pretty swift. And Vanzi's going to get first jump on maybe a horse like Tom's Surprise or any of those types of horses that have a nice kick but sort of sit off and make a run.
You actually brought up the top pick for me is 5 Jimmy Blue Jeans, and for me,
Okay.
I think that this is speed of the speed, especially if Tiz Plus doesn't go with or manages to get away. I think this horse is best at a mile and a 16th. You scratch off those 9 furlong efforts 2 and 3 back, and this horse is entering on a 4-race win streak that includes a stakes win versus Cowbreds. Now, ironically, that came at 9 furlongs, but I really do think this horse is best at 8.5. So I used him, but I'm guessing, Mike, you think that he's cheap speed or there's too much speed and he's not going to hold on?
I agree with Matt. I think there's a lot of speed in here. I like the 4 because you can be tactical with it, but I'm not going to use anyone else who's going to be on the lead here. I think this thing could actually collapse. It's what drew me to the local horse, number 6, Evening Sun, who made a huge move last time. And when I watched back that replay, it wasn't just a huge move. He kind of got stopped a couple times. It was a bad trip and was still able to get the job done and get up. So I think the 6, Evening Sun, is really interesting here. It ran down in Southern California last time to beat Tiz Plus, but he pulled the entire time and then he had to get steadied and then he got up. But he was able to still kind of surge toward the wire and be able to get up. Buyers have been improving, so I think that's a positive. I think the pace sets up well for Evening Sun, so I think that's a positive. And I like the 6-1 price, which I actually think might float up a little bit here.
Yeah, I like it. He really hasn't had a bad turf route race since he came to America. 2 of his 3 wins have been in America. He should be 3 for 4, but he was DQ'd last July. We'll forget about that. But 8.5, 9 furlongs. This horse, it seems like right in his wheelhouse. Matt, you like the 6 as well? At least you think he should be on tickets?
I think he's interesting because, for one, Jeff Mullins has always liked this horse. He really has, and this horse has had some unlucky trips. And like you said, he already had an unlucky trip last time and still won. So I think he's going in the right direction. And before the nominations came out, I was just sort of scouting horses down south that might be interested in running in a race like this. And I think it's a perfect spot for him. I mean, he's pretty much run through all of his conditions. Speed figures indicate he fits. And I think he's a very interesting horse at 6-1. So I'm sort of with Mike on that.
Mike, I went 5 deep. You went 3 deep. We've covered all of the ones except for the last one we agree on. The number 10, Nolde, at 20-1. Go ahead.
Last 2 times we saw this horse, it lost to Mo Fuerza. There's absolutely no shame in that. We haven't seen Nolde since November 30th, 2019, the Grade 1 Hollywood Derby. Look, it is a long layoff. We're switching barns from the Sheriff barn over to the Steve Sherman barn. But what caught my eye here was not only the back class that you have here. So this horse was very good 2 years ago in his running, but also the workouts and everything that we've seen coming back here. You got a bullet on April 23rd, first of 64. Every workout is essentially running that 12 pattern where you're 12 seconds or less for each furlong. This horse had a ton of talent early on in its career, and we just had a long layoff here. The fact that you're coming back in this spot is what really drew me to this horse. This is super aggressive. I mean, 2019 was literally 3 years ago. This is a what, almost a 29-month layoff here that we're coming back from. And to decide that we're going to put this horse back in a Grade 3 tells you those workouts are legit, and this horse still has a ton of talent. So at 20-1, I'm willing to take a little bit of a flyer here and see what happens with Nolde. I like Vanzi. I like Evening Sun quite a bit, but I can't leave Nolde off at that price.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, you've got 10 other stakes winners facing him. There's 11 stakes horses or stakes winners in this race, and he's one of them. But you're right. You could have, not to pick on my home track Santa Anita, but they're kind of begging for horses to race down there right now and fill a card. Nolde wanted to come back at an optional claimer that was written with a condition that, non-winners have won in the last 27 months. He goes in there, right? You can easily fit this horse into a Santa Anita optional claimer and get him that rust knocked off. And they said, no, we're going to, Matt, either your biggest race of your entire meet or second biggest race with the El Camino Real. So my one question, Matt, Steve Sherman actually in the DRF article for this preview, he didn't seem excited, and he said, if we got third or better, it would be huge. I'd be tickled to death. Getting third or better would be like winning. So I need to know from you, the expert, is he just kind of BSing us? Is he trying to make us feel a little like, don't get too excited? Or what do we read into this?
Steve's very honest. He's very forthcoming. Okay. He's a pretty honest guy. So I think what he's saying is exactly what it is. It's a lot to ask of a horse. I mean, he obviously is doing it in a way that Steve thinks in the mornings, well, this horse still has some ability, because when you're off for, over 2 years, you have to wonder, okay, what are they going to be like when they come back? I've been hearing from people that have watched his workouts that he worked with a horse named American Farmer the other morning, who's a very nice horse, up here. He was actually thinking about running in this race, and they're just going to wait for the All-American because it seems like he likes to Peter more. And they said that Nolby was all out to keep up with American Farmer, and American Farmer was going a little bit easier. But Nolby has been working quickly, and sometimes these horses, when they run in the afternoon or even get to turf, he's never run on a synthetic track, I don't think. So maybe if he gets back to the grass, that's really what he's going to be happy with. So Steve Sherman, one more thing. He's also not the type of trainer that's just going to throw a horse in a race because, well, it's 250,000, let's throw him in there. If he's coming off a long layoff like this, he must be sitting here saying, well, he's obviously got a little bit of ability still if he's running him in a race like this. So I mixed signals. It's going to be tough, but I think Steve's probably being pretty forthcoming on this one.
The nice thing, Mike, is that we're getting 20-1. This isn't like the 4-1 we're getting on Vandy. So we've got that going for us. And I wanted to, before we move on, Matt, you got some love in the chat here.
This has been a presentation of RacingDudes.com, your destination for all things horse racing and sports betting. Whether you want free winners, expert insider picks, up-to-the-minute trackside weather reports, or podcasts and videos for bettors of all skill levels. Never make another wager without visiting the Racing Dudes. First,